get started on my baked oatmeal cookie bars, and these are not only simple, but they're absolutely delicious. They taste almost like a warm oatmeal cookie that you would have for breakfast. And yes, I said breakfast because these are technically a breakfast bar. They kind of replace your morning bowl of oatmeal in a really delicious way. So I'm gonna start by adding my dry ingredients to a bowl. This is really simple. It's all about simple today. So we have a half cup of oat flour. So oat flour, if you haven't heard of it before, is basically just old-fashioned oats, which we have here, and you grind it into a flour in your food processor or your blender. So you can just make it right at home. You can also buy it. Then we have a cup and a half of old-fashioned oats. And this is what we think of when we think of our morning bowl of oatmeal. But like I said, this is a more, I think, delicious spin on just a morning bowl of oatmeal because it tastes just like a cookie. Then a 1/4 cup of sweetener. I have monk fruit sweetener here, but you can use any kind of sweetener you like. So basically, when it comes to sweetener, the thing that I look for is either a raw sugar, coconut sugar, or a more natural form of sugar. So I like stevia and monk fruit sweetener in my recipes, but you can use anything that you have at home. Then 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, and this gives it that oatmeal cookie flavor. 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and 1 teaspoon of baking powder. And this just helps these bars rise just as you would want a cookie to do. So I like to make these and I like to have them usually before my workout in the morning. So what I'll do is I'll make these ahead of time. I'll pop them into individual bags, just the bars, in my freezer, and then I'll have them before my workout. Then, after I work out, I have a protein shake or a smoothie, so something that kind of replenishes me and refuels me for my day. But this is a great little start to the day and also gives me energy to get started on my workout. So then I'm gonna add the wet ingredients. So I just mix the dry ingredients, and that's usually like how I like to bake. I just like to add the dry ingredients first, then the wet, and then just mix it all into the same bowl. It's way less dishes in the end. So 2 eggs, and then I'm gonna add one of my favorite ingredients in this recipe, my peanut butter. But if you don't have peanut butter or you prefer almond butter, you could do any kind of nut butter for this recipe. So usually whenever I'm measuring out any kind of nut butter, what I like to do is I like to microwave it for about 30 seconds just so that it's really easy to kind of pour out and add to the recipe. But if you have a natural form of peanut butter, usually it's already pretty loose, so it's easy to stir in. So we have 1/2 cup of any kind of nut butter that you like. And that's also a really good healthy fat. So that's great to add when you're making your breakfast for the morning, is look for ways that you can add protein, healthy fat, good sources of nutrition to get you started on your day. Then we're gonna do 1/2 cup of maple syrup, and this adds a little bit of sweetness because we only did a 1/4 cup of sweetener, so we want it to be a little bit more sweet, but it also makes these bars bake up perfectly. So whenever you're baking, you kind of wanna think about your wet ingredients and your dry ingredients, and it's just a science. So if you ever don't have something on hand, let's say you don't have maple syrup, you can always use honey in place of it. So as long as you kind of follow those rules of the baking wet and dry ingredient ratio, then you can pretty much make any recipe your own. So I'm just gonna stir this all together. And a lot of times what I like to do is, like I said, I like to pop these in my freezer, but if I don't have something in my freezer, I like to at least have some kind of no-bake ball or some kind of really quick and easy treat that I can have first thing in my day that I know that I made, so I know what's in it. And then for lunch, I like to do something that's really quick and easy, like a 15-minute meal or a salad or a wrap, something that's really quick. And then dinner is something that I like to really take time to sit down and enjoy and plan ahead and prepare. So now I'm just gonna pour this into a 9x9 baking pan. and you're just gonna kind of use your spoon to smooth it out. And you can see how simple this was, just 6 ingredients. Now, whenever I talk about 6 ingredients or less, what I'm really saying is not counting the spices, because my spices for my recipes are so simple. So we really just have eggs, nut butter, syrup, and then oats and sweetener. That's all you need for this recipe. So simple. And then I'm gonna do just some chocolate chips, and you could measure these out. It calls for 1/3 cup, or you can kind of just sprinkle them on top like this, which I like to do because then you can get them all evenly placed on there, and you get a few extra, I think. And then we're gonna bake this at 350 degrees for about 20 to 25 minutes until a toothpick comes out clean, and they'll be ready to cut and store in our fridge or freezer for a busy week.